Okay, this is a big call out of Delta Faucet for their design and quality of materials on this towel bar, the Lyndall collection. I recently bought two 24-inch towel bars plus two hand towel rings from one of the big box stores. Spent like $117, and it's all going back. And let me tell you why. If you're familiar with, if you've done this kind of thing before, you know that you get these drywall anchors. You screw these into your drywall. Then these screws go through the front of the bracket. Wait, I'm doing this all through the screen here. These screw into your drywall and provide an anchor. Then this screw goes through the front of your bracket to hold the bracket on. What you end up with is something that, looks like this. And I'll point out two things right away. One, you can see the anchors are torn up. And two, it's not in my wall. And I'll tell you why. Before we do this, let's look at that. This is not a Delta product. This is a cheap builder product, but it shows the old design where you would screw the bracket into the wall, the mounting bracket, and then you would slip this over the mounting bracket, and then always there's been a little set screw that you screw in to advance the screw and hold the thing onto the bracket, right? I think they figured this out back in the time of Christopher Columbus. It's always had a set screw. No problem. Tried and true design. Well, Delta decided that they couldn't have a set screw and they needed a sexy flush design with no holes at all. That's really clean, right? Except to do that, instead of a set screw, they made this bracket that's got wire loop, and this is basically a spring. When you push on this, you can compress. Let me try it. You can compress the spring a little bit. So what you're supposed to do is catch. You screw this into your wall. Then when you install this, you're supposed to be deft enough to catch the spring here in the bottom, and then continue, and then push up on this piece to compress the spring, right? Which is supposed to let you snap that top tab in. Compress. Well, you'll notice that it's not going in. There's not enough range there. There's not enough range of motion to even get the top tab to push in. That's a total failure of design. But before I discovered that, I had the pleasure of trying to install one on my wall. In addition to the terrible design that actually does not work, they give you cheap anchors. So I made a little starter hole in my wall, started to screw in the anchor, and because the anchor's so cheap, it disintegrated, it tore apart. So I managed to get some of this one in. So on the next one, I said, okay, these anchors are really cheap and can't take the pressure. So I enlarged the pilot hole, right? So I made it nice and big, so it would be a pretty easy installation. Well, then that means your anchor doesn't get much bite, right? So you end up with a compromised anchor. Then you try to push up on it. To install with their spring design, and the anchor can't take it and it rips right out of your wall. I thought that was bad enough, but then this morning I pulled, as I've already shown, I pulled this out just to see if it would work. It doesn't even work. I mean, even if I hadn't, right? Yeah, no, that's supposed to pop in. It's not even giving me the clearance to pop in flush. No good, man. I mean, between the cheap, no, I can't even get it out. There we go. Between the cheap anchors that tear and this unnecessarily difficult design that's not even machined to a tolerance, forget it, man. All this shit's going back. Bad move, Delta.